make you think. Absolutely, you know what I'm saying? And I might say some stuff on this channel that you don't agree with. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But damn it, when we talking about performance enhancement drugs, man, ain't no damn excuse. You as a professional athlete, as a professional fighter, you got to take great products. You got to take quality of products, right? And if you don't have that NSF label on that damn stuff, don't take it. Yeah, and if you don't know what it is, go ahead and research it. Yeah, it's a third-party entity that tests these products and makes sure what's in the product is actually what's in the product. And making sure that athletes are taking safe products. Yeah, and it has to have that label on it. If it don't have that label, don't take it. Then you don't get no contaminated substance. Oh, Tim, this contamination, all this crap. You don't get that. You know what I'm saying? So, because what makes me think that you're not cheating if it's in your damn system? Okay? Well, we got to take your word on it? Huh? Psst, come on. Now, it's your responsibility as an athlete, man. You're making millions and millions of dollars. Make sure you're taking quality, right? Products, my boy. Anyways, that's my time. Tim Storm Bradley, and you already know the damn rest.
Hello, and welcome back to Inside the Ropes with Coach Mario. Coach Mario, owner and head coach of Warriors Pride Boxing Academy here in Miami, Florida. How are you guys doing this morning? Well, today's message goes out to a man I respected for years, a Hall of Famer, a warrior, a commentator with passion and heart, Timothy Bradley. This message comes from respect and also from truth. First, let me start with respect. You were one of the toughest fighters of your era, a man of grit, discipline, and determination. You didn't rely on power or flash, you relied on heart. And that's something I've always admired about you. As a commentator, you've been passionate, honest, and fearless. When you speak, the boxing world listens, and that's why this message matters. Tim, your voice carries weight. So when you publicly accuse Subriel Matias of being a cheater without understanding the facts or the science, it becomes more than a comment. It becomes a blow to a man's integrity, a blow to his character, a blow to everything he has sacrificed in this sport. You once called him the top dog at 140. You once praised his abilities, his pressure, his danger. To now label him as a cheater without evidence. That hit harder than you think. And first, let me tell you something. I'm not a fanatic of Matias. I'm not a fanboy. I don't idolize fighters because of their nationality. I've criticized Matias publicly, especially when he cut corners or lacked discipline. And those moments came back to bite him. I've also been highly critical of other Puerto Rican fighters, like Sander Sayas, Edgar Berlanga, and plenty more. My criticisms were based on reality, not blind support. Again, I am not a fanatic. There's a lot of fanatics out there. You know that. Instead, I'm an analyst. Not a cheerleader, not a flag waver. You don't have to like Matias as a person. You don't have to like him as a fighter. You don't have to like him even if he's Puerto Rican. But you do have an obligation to be honorable, to avoid gossip and not spread accusations without facts. There's basic fairness, basic professionalism, basic human decency. Again, I'm not a pharmacologist or a doping scientist, but unlike many critics, including you this time, Tim, and Chris Algieri, I took the time to research the science. I studied VADA procedures. I looked at contamination patterns. I read the thresholds and detection limits. I examined how these substances behave in the body. I did the homework. And that's something every influential commentator should do before calling a fighter a cheater. Here are the facts. Matias tested clean before traveling to New York. 7 days before, if I'm not mistaken, he tested 0.085 nanograms. A few days later, that's 85 picograms. New York State Athletic Commission threshold is 1.0 nanograms. Matias was 10 times below that level. All right? 0.085 is contamination, not doping. VADA sees this kind of trace reading all the time. If Matias had intentionally taken Ostarine, he would have tested positive in both tests. Levels would have been much higher. The substance would have stayed in his system. Metabolites would be present. The pattern would show dosing. It would not disappear this quickly. None of that happened. Everything about this case aligns perfectly with accidental contamination. Now, there's Chris Algieri, a man who should know better, a man who has been in the ring and understands the sacrifices. But instead of professionalism, he goes on a podcast and says, fuck that guy, about a man he doesn't know, about a fighter with a clean career, about a human being who has endured more adversity than most people will ever understand. That is not a commentary, that is not analysis, that is bitterness. And it casts a dark shadow over a humble, hardworking warrior like Subriel Matias, who has given his blood, sweat, and spirit to this sport. Subriel Matias has lived through trauma, criticism, tragedy, and pressure. He carries emotional weight that would break most people, yet he still shows up and gives everything in that ring. To try to destroy his career with misinformation, ignorance, and reckless accusations is not fair, it is cruel. And this message is not just for Bradley or Algieri. It's for everyone who spreads hate and misinformation. When you call a fighter a cheater without facts, you're not just attacking their career. You're hurting their kids, their parents, their spouse, their siblings, the people who sit ringside praying their loved one comes home safe. The sport is already brutal. The sacrifices are already enormous. Words of hate add a type of damage that no punch could ever match. So let me repeat it clearly. If you don't know the signs, don't speak. If you don't have done the research, don't accuse. And if all you have is hate, keep it to yourself. Timothy Bradley, Chris Algieri, and all the critics out there, I truly hope that once you weigh the facts impartially, once you understand the science, once you understand how microscopic 0.085 really is, and once you acknowledge that Subriel Matias has never failed a drug test in his entire career, that you have the honesty, the integrity, and the manhood to admit you were wrong about this humble warrior. And above all, I hope you have the courtesy, the dignity to apologize in public, the same way you chose to criticize him in front of everyone, because that is the least that an honorable warrior would do. This is Coach Mario, owner and head coach of Warriors Pride Boxing Academy, saying hasta la vista, God bless you all, and peace.
He's the real boogeyman of the division. Nobody wants to step foot in the ring with this guy at all. It's a shame. You got all these big names there. Nobody ever calls this guy's name. You want to know why? Because they know he's extremely dangerous. Now, you can say that, yes, they do fear him. However, if the money was right, if the money is right, I think these guys will take the fight.